Key signatures are not something you have to learn off by heart. All you have to do is sharpen the notes that are shown at the beginning of the piece you're playing. And for flats, just go down a semitone. Being able to recognize chords is really valuable when sight reading. In the early days, you'll be recognizing one note at a time. There's a C with an E above it and a G above that. Once you're familiar with chords, you'll recognize those three notes instantly as the chord of C major and be able to play it straight away. So much quicker than a C and an E and a G. And here are the three shapes of the chord of C major, showing how they're built up from the scale. They are called inversions. Not that you need to memorize them unless you're taking music exams, or perhaps going in for a music quiz. The root position has the root note of the scale at the bottom, with the third next and the fifth at the top. The first inversion has the third note of the scale at the bottom, with the fifth in the middle, and the root, in this case C, at the top. The second inversion has the fifth at the bottom, then the root, then the third. Here are all the scales. You might want to use your pause button to give you a chance to print them out, so you can try some, at least the early ones. The more chords you can build up in memory, the easier you'll find sight reading. You'll notice that if you play any seventh chord, there's something unfinished about it. The sound is somehow left hanging in the air. For example, the sound of the G7, shown here, is not resolved until you play a chord of C. There is the story that the only way members of Mozart's family could get him out of bed in the morning was to play a seventh chord loudly on the piano downstairs. His ear was so sensitive that he couldn't bear the suspense and had to go down and play the resolving chord. Chords are essential if you have a keyboard with auto accompaniment, which is a great help if, like most of us, you have only two hands. Before you start playing, you choose a rhythm. This is otherwise known as a style. And this calls up a band to accompany your right hand. All you have to do then is play a single note melody while the left hand plays the chord that accompanies it. The notes of the chord are interpreted by the keyboard and given to the various accompanying instruments. Once you've tried this system, you'll be amazed at what you and your invisible fellow digital musicians are able to play. Your nearest music shop should be able to provide busker's books, specially written with this in mind. They usually have a melody line with the chord names such as G7 and C7. The first chord on each line is the major triad. This is the first, third, and fifth note of the scale. The next chord in the key of C is the seventh, abbreviated here and in printed music as C7. This is the odd one out because, as you may have noticed, the actual seventh note of the scale of C is B natural, not B flat as shown. This is just something we have to get used to. Apart from C major seventh, which has a B natural in it, all the other chords make sense. C lowercase m is C minor, which has the third note flattened and gives a more solemn sound. Then comes CM7, C minor seventh, which is C7th with its third flattened. C capital M7th stands for C major seventh and uses the true seventh note of the scale. That's the B natural in the case of C. C sixth has the first, third, and sixth note of the scale instead of the first, third, and fifth. C small m6 is the minor version of C6. C aug has the fifth note sharpened or augmented. These chords, together with the ones on the next page, are in the most popular keys. There are many more, but these ones here should stand you in good stead during the early days. If you mastered scales and chords, we're up and running. Now we go on to learning to play keyboards part 7 to look at some tunes for you to play.